Time to go south for the winter. Grossi Posse Packer Nation, welcome to another episode of Pancast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom Grossi, and today we are going to be predicting life down in the NFC South. Arguably one of the best divisions in football, certainly one of the top two divisions in the NFC. If I'm having the NFC North and NFC South, I would say they're definitely the top two. The NFC East is just where dreams go to die, and the Cowboys are there, and also the NFC West is just, hey, listen, in Manifest Destiny, they used to say, go west, young man, but now they're saying, don't do that. Don't go west or east. Go north or south, young man. So again, if you're brand new here, if this is the first predictions video that you watch, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the predictions for where I think each team is going to finish, looking at the hardest games on their schedule, where they're most likely going to face challenges and or losses. And again, you know, a lot can change between now and then. Injuries, players getting pulled over for DUI, what have you. And so with that in mind, let's get started. So in 2018, the New Orleans Saints demolished this division, going 13-3. Falcons going 7-9, the Panthers 7-9, and the Buccaneers 5-11. And I feel like the NFC South is one of those divisions where it's almost always competitive or nobody's competitive in it, right? Like there are years when like the Buccaneers will be relevant. I know it's been a while, but then you'll have like three teams like the Saints, the Panthers, and the Falcons who are all vying for a playoff spot. And so with that in mind, I feel like this is going to be another competitive year for them, but I for some reason, always hold the Falcons. This is like a problem I have. I always hold the Falcons in higher regard than they should be, because I feel like the Falcons should be a really good football team, right? They finally got rid of their terrible offensive coordinator, so I'm like, okay, they're going to do well. Matt Ryan, you know, they went to the Super Bowl a few years ago and blew it. Matt Ryan won MVP. Matt LaFleur was there. He's a really sexy head coach. Like, I feel like they should just be much better than they actually are. So I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I'm probably going to highly overestimate the skills and talent of the Atlanta Falcons. But then again, so is the entire state of Georgia. So let's take a look at who I think is going to finish number 4 in this division. And that, again, will be the Buccaneers. Though they basically share the same name as Green Bay, and as a kid, I loved watching their pirate ship. That's pretty much all they got going for me right now. Now, obviously, they got Devin White, who was a huge pickup in the draft, and some guy that, you know, one of the most sought-after talents in the draft. But I don't know if that's going to be enough, because for some reason, they are still insistent on allowing Jameis Winston to play as their quarterback. And I truly just don't understand why. I could get the first year going, oh, it's his rookie year. Or is even his sophomore year and going, oh, it's his sophomore year. You know, he's going to take those lumps. But like, at what point are you going to be like, hey, buddy, you know, stop hitting people in the back of an Uber and like, you know, go do something else. You know, they were on Hard Knocks a couple years ago. It was boring. These are all like problems I have with the Buccaneers. It was mostly because I watched Hard Knocks, and that really wasn't a great season. But why I think the Buccaneers are not going to do so well, I think that, quite honestly, they are going to be swept by their entire division. I think the Saints, the Panthers, and the Falcons will beat up on them. I think they'll sweep them. Now, there's potentially, like, they steal a game maybe from the Falcons or the Panthers, but that's 6 losses right there. And from there, you really don't have a long way to go. And I think they're going to lose to the Rams, and I think they're going to lose to the Seahawks. So that's it. If they don't lose to any other teams, but they get swept by their division and lose to the Rams and Seahawks, at best they're going 8-8, which I don't know if they're going to make it even to that point. But let's say optimistically they go 8-8 for the season. Maybe they squeak away a win from the Falcons or Panthers and go 9-7. But while their defense is improving, they're trying to build it up. They'll always have Mike Evans. Like, they need to address their offense. They need to do better in their offense because right now they just have a bunch of players that are kind of just meh. And again, Jameis Winston really isn't good. That came off harsh, but someone needed to hear it. I mean, he's more athletic than I am. I'm just a skinny white dude sitting in a basement. Then number 3, let's go with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Falcons do not have the easiest of schedules, but I still think that they're going to do pretty good. I think they are going to face challenges. They could potentially lose when playing teams like the Vikings. That could go either way. The Eagles, the Rams, I think they'll get swept by the Saints, even though they usually put up a hard time, at least one of those. And they could potentially lose to the Panthers on one of those. So I think with all that involved, you're looking at 6 losses because and who knows if they'd blow another game. But I still see them finishing around 10-6 or 9-7. So that might be enough to get them into the playoffs, and potentially there could be 3 teams that go from the NFC South, depending on what happens in the other divisions. But I think the Falcons, while they do have a bit of a tougher schedule, they are also in a division where, like, these are all going to be competitive games. Like, who knows? Like, you might have the Buccaneers beat up on the Saints. Like, that is a possibility. Like, last year, that Buccaneers and Saints game, one of the earliest games, you're like, wait, what? That actually happened? So it could go either way. But looking at this now, I think the Falcons should be better than they were last year. And if not, I honestly don't know why. I really don't. Matt Ryan's a good quarterback. I mean, I wouldn't say he's like top 3, but he maybe top 5. I don't know if he's top 5. But you have him, you have Julio Jones, right? They're rebuilding that defense. They're starting to get some playmakers. I mean, they should be doing much better, but who knows? Then number 2, I have the Panthers going around 10-6 or 11-5. I see the hardest games, them going against the Rams, the Falcons, one of those games I think that they'll split. Again, I also see them getting swept by the Saints, but they could steal one there. The Packers, considering it's at Lambeau, could give them some problems, but I will never forget a couple years ago when the Packers went down to visit the Panthers, and Cam Newton was like, "Oh, you've been watching tape, huh?" Doing an audible, and then just threw a touchdown. Yeah, that was, the Dom Capers day of our defenses. So great. But Christian McCaffrey is an absolute stud. You know, they're hopefully expecting more from their receivers this year. Who knows what Cam Newton is going to do. This team is a wild card. I don't necessarily mean for the playoffs. I mean, like, I don't know what's going to happen with them. They obviously have Luke Kuechly, who's one of the best, if not the best, linebacker in football. But all that being said, they have a kind of a beneficial schedule. I see only, like, maybe 3 really, really tough games that I don't think that they will win. But I see them falling around 11-5 or 10-6, and they could be flip-flopping with the Falcons. And then number 1, I see the Saints taking this division again. There's nothing that indicates to me that the Saints are really going to regress this year. Drew Brees, the minute I think he's not going to be doing well anymore, the guy has like a 70% completion rating. It's absolutely insane. They're playing some tough teams, right? I think they'll lose against the Rams, or who knows, but they'll finally get revenge. It could go either way. The Seahawks could give them problems, and then also the Bears. And again, you could also have them split maybe with the Panthers and or Falcons, but looking at just these 3 teams alone, that's 3 losses. They could be going 13-3. So either way, I think that they will definitely win the division, and I think that they will, again, be one of the powerhouses potentially competing for home field advantage this year because they are that good. Their offense, after those 2 years of like, oh man, things really weren't great, they have completely rebuilt that team. They are an offensive juggernaut, and their defense ain't too shabby either. So that being said, I think the Saints are going to take the South this year. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Am I cray? Am I a psychic? Do I have ESPN or something? Let me know. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy on all social media. See you down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, YouTube, and Spotify, and all that great, wonderful stuff. Also, a big shout out and thank you to my patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy. If you would like to support me, check that out. There's some cool rewards over there. But thank you so much for watching. We'll do the dumpster fire. That's the NFC East tomorrow. I'm Tom Grossi, and as always, go Pack Go.